All the Saraswats, including the Saraswat Brahmins, organized under Sri Kavle Mutt, Sri Gokarna Mutt, Sri Kashi Mutt, and Sri Chitrapur Mutt, or the rest residing in other parts of India, have one thing in common. It is their mother tongue Konkani, a language that is truly cosmopolitan, enriched by addition of words from so many languages spoken in different parts of the country. Such is its flexibility that one knowing that language Konkani would not be found wanting in comprehending languages like Sanskrit, Kashmiri, Marathi, Gujarati, Rajasthani, Hindi, Urdu, Bangla, Akhomi, Odisha, Kannada, Kurgi, Tulu, Tamil, or Malayalam. And not to talk of the innumerable dialects under each of these languages. It might appear as an exaggeration, but it is not. It is again a sure evidence of the trail the community's ancestors have left behind in their life journey in search of a safer place to live and pursue their life objectives. Each of those places has only enriched their language, customs, and the culture. Today, as per 2011 census, Konkani is spoken in India and outside by more than 2 millions of people belonging to not less than 3 religions: Hindus, Christians, and Muslims, 20 odd castes, subcastes, and sects, through a multitude of subdialects and variations. It is estimated that there are more than 20 dialects in Konkani. As is well known, while a language consists of standardized words both for spoken and written format, the dialect has only spoken words, and the way it is spoken or pronounced varying from region to region or between different social groups. It can also be said that dialects not only has different way of pronunciation of words but have even new spoken words that are limited to specific social groups or regions. Because of this, in the earlier days, absence of a written script was used as a yardstick to differentiate between language and the dialect. For example, Hindi language has more than 15 major dialects like Kadiboli, spoken in the northwestern UP, Delhi, etc. Haryanvi, Brijabhasha, spoken in southwest UP. Kanauji, Bundeli, spoken in Bundelkhand. Bagheli, Awadhi, Chhattisgarhi, Bhojpuri, Magadhi, Maithili, spoken in western Bihar, etc. To take the example of English, it has more than 160 dialects, of which 29 are within the United Kingdom itself. The way the language is spoken differs widely in United Kingdom, America, Canada, or Australia, but is still known only as a dialect coming under English. All Indian major languages have many dialects, like for example, Malayalam has 13, Marathi has 42, Kannada and Tamil have 6 each, Bangla has 5, etc. In the case of Konkani, there are 6 major subdialects, and based on where one finds a complete change, they are classified into 6. Number 1, Bardeshi, spoken in North Goa. Number 2, Kodiyali, spoken in Karwar. Number 3, Shashti, spoken in South Goa. Number 4, Antruri, spoken in Ponda. Number 5, Kodiyali, spoken in Udupi, Mangalore, Kasargod. Number 6, Kerali, spoken in Kerala. The other minor dialects in Konkani are Kunbi, Agri, Koli, Navayati, Siddhi, Kadodi, Kukna, Hugdi, Kadkari, Varli, Thakre, Bankoti, Dhangri, Karadi, Mauli, Chitpavani. In languages like Hindi or English, there is no issue between the language and many of its dialects, as the differences are mainly limited only to the way it is pronounced or spoken within a limited large geographical area. This is not the case with Konkani language and its dialects. Here, not only there is a huge difference between the way the words are pronounced, there are differences in written words by groups or communities residing in different parts that create havoc with the overall growth of the language. Add to that, though Devanagari has been accepted as the Konkani script when the language was included in the 8th schedule of the Constitution in 1992, there is still hesitation in making it the only script for written form. So much so that while a Konkani living in Goa would be using the Roman or Portuguese script, the one living in Kerala would prefer Malayalam as the written script, and the one in Karnataka has Kannada as the first preference, not knowing that by that shortcut he is limiting himself the acceptance of his expressions to a very small group around him. This was the same issue that created the biggest hurdle in learning the different Indian languages, as each state insisted on using only their own script instead of the Devanagari. Inclusion of Konkani in the 8th schedule of the Constitution has not helped the cause at all. In Konkani, there is another issue with written language. It is the presence of a large number of words borrowed from the native place and being used profusely both for the written and the spoken language. While it may not pose problem for a local social group, it surely creates havoc with the listeners from different areas. No doubt a language gets enriched when new words are added or borrowed to it, especially the newly emerging scientific terms, etc. But in the case of Konkani, instead of using the original Konkani words, or in its absence, getting a local or international word and suitably modifying it into Konkani, what has been happening is wholesale import of non-Konkani words and making them part of the Konkani language. While the presence of different dialects or wide variation in accent and dictum in the spoken language have only enriched Konkani further, it must also be accepted that the high flexibility also seems to have hurt its progress and development. It is now on the verge of becoming no longer the binding factor between Konkani speaking people spread across the country. There are many reasons for it. If we carefully listen to the language spoken by each of these groups from different states, one could notice that the language of the original native place or the present place of stay have influenced it. For example, Konkani spoken in North Goa has 20% Portuguese words. Konkani spoken in South Goa has 10% Portuguese words. Konkani spoken in Karwar has 20% Kannada words. Konkani spoken in Udupi, Mangalore, Kasargod has 25% Kannada or Tulu words. Konkani spoken in Kerala has more than 25% Malayalam words. Though the local speakers or listeners have no issues with these heavy foreign words, the same becomes a problem for an outsider. For example, if a Kerala Konkani interacts with one from North Goa, He's using Malayalam words during the conversation. Makes no sense for the listener. Same is the story the other way around also. The impact is so much so that it is very difficult for a Saraswat Brahmin or other section of the Saraswat community member from outside Kerala to communicate with a Saraswat of Kerala through Konkani language. It is a near ordeal for a Kerala Konkani to sit and listen to the Konkani songs or poems sung by a Goan Konkani and vice versa. The problem has reached such proportion. If two Konkanis from Kochi and Mangalore meet, they prefer to communicate in Hindi or English so that it makes sense to both. When Sri Lakshmikant Parsekar, the then Chief Minister of Goa, visited Kochi on 29/11/2015 to inaugurate a memorial for the ensign Konkani physicians of Kerala, he was forced to switch over to English to make sense of his talk in Konkani to the huge Konkani audience present there on that occasion. The issues are manifold. The wide difference between words, noun, verb, adverb, adjective, and the way they are spoken, that is the dictum, accent, etc., in the Konkani language spoken in different parts. The vocabulary of Konkani comes from a number of sources. The main source, of course, is Prakrit, followed by Sanskrit, that as a whole has played a very important part in Konkani vocabulary. Thus, Konkani developed with overall Sanskrit complexity and grammatical structure, which eventually developed into a lexical fund of its own. But the absence of a common script was the main single biggest challenge in mitigating the differences within the language. While agreeing on a common script like Devanagari, when the language was included in the 8th schedule of the Constitution in 1992, has solved one issue long back: inability to stick to the decision of using only Devanagari script in the written language under a dozen excuses, and each state sticking to its regional state's language script for no apparent reason as a medium has not helped the cause at all. But the real challenge lies elsewhere, unattended so far by anyone. It is on the standardization of the vocabulary, spelling, accent, dictum, etc. that is a must for written language. It requires a team of specialists in Konkani language from across Pan-India to agree upon the best suitable original Konkani words that could fit in the parts of speech. Once it is achieved, the next challenge would be agreeing on the spelling, accent, dictum, weeding out unnecessary alien words, etc. Once these basic issues are fixed, coming out with a standard dictionary would go a long way to make the language more popular, so that the posterity will not only love to continue to communicate through it, but nurture and help spread the unique language they are born with, making it more popular across all forms of visual and print media. This is not to say that there is no dictionary in Konkani. There are many, including some on the online. But the stark truth is that those dictionaries have been infested with all the above issues the language is infected with, and therefore could not achieve the objectives. But all these require not only huge resources but Herculean efforts of a few dedicated experts across the whole platform. Needless to say, the concerned people should think beyond the fragmented approach now carried out through yearly lip service programs like Vishwa Konkani Day or Konkani Bhasha Prachar Sabha Week, routinely observed year after year. Needless to say, language badly requires hundreds of crusaders like Shanoy Goembab in the coming days to take it to logical conclusion. Those efforts surely would go a long way in the resurgence of the ethnic pride among the Konkani speaking people and help popularize Konkani language, giving the much needed fillip to the heritage, culture, literature, art, visual arts, media, and the folklore.